Welcome to the Weather Show with meteorologist Vin Crosby. I'm meteorologist Vin Crosby. This year I'm doing a snow outlook that I've done many years in the past, but I'm doing it this year for the whole United States. Every state, every city and town, you're going to know by the end of this video how much snow is going to fall in your neighborhood. Hi there. I've been working on this for quite some time. I don't know why I had that pose earlier, but how did that look? I don't know. Welcome to the Weather Show with meteorologist Vin Crosby. I look forward to this every year. I have dove into all kinds of data to bring you a winter weather outlook and how much snow is going to fall. How do I do it? I take a look at global weather patterns. I look at the cold air up around the Arctic, not only the cold air, but the shape of the cold air. I look at many indices. If it's an El Nino year, if it's a La Nina year, and the ocean currents and weather patterns around the globe. Then I take those years and the indices that I see for this year and look back through the records. I go all the way back to 1950 and compare year by year to what I'm seeing this year. After I get a few years that kind of mimic the indices of this year, I look at the original weather that's going on right now, and that's showing a lot of cold air back up around the Arctic and that darker shade of purple that is going to be moving on back down towards us. And then I make my forecast decisions based on that. So that is what I use to look at the global weather patterns of what's going to bring some tremendous amount of snows, I think, to some areas in the United States. Please, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Weather Show with Vin Crosby, and please share this with friends and family. Let's get the message out. Let's see what I think is going to happen for this upcoming winter season. On the right-hand side of your screen, you are going to see the snow totals in the legend there. And so here we go. Let's start off the snow total forecast, starting with Alabama. Alabama, they do see snow this year. I think on the eastern seaboard, there's going to be deep pockets of cold air that goes way down in the south. Check out Mobile, Alabama. I think this year we'll get a trace to 2 inches of snow all the way down by the Florida and Alabama border. Then back up towards Birmingham, Anniston, up towards Florence and over to Fort Payne. It looks like snow will be coming your way as well. Now, there will be pockets of 2 to 4 inches, and if we get a big storm developing down in the south, that of course will add more to the forecast, but right now it does look like Alabama is going to get snow. Another area that gets snow is just north of Phoenix. A lot of people don't know that Phoenix, just outside of it, around Prescott, Payson, on up towards Flagstaff and the Grand Canyon, all get snow anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of snow in the lower elevations, as much as 50 inches of snow in the higher elevations up around Flagstaff. How about Alaska? Alaska, of course, gets lots of snow, lots of cold air. Down around the southeastern side of Alaska, though, that maritime air doesn't bring snow to some of the islands. However, the higher elevations getting copious amounts of snow. 75 to 100 inches of snow in some of those higher elevations down there by the state capital in Alaska. Notice around Anchorage and all those areas in that little column there between McCarthy up towards Healy, getting the tremendous snows up around 100, 150 inches plus. Anchorage getting snow. Fairbanks getting snow. It looks like it's going to be in that 8 to 12 inch range around Fairbanks down towards Deltana. I think I'm saying that right. California looking snowy as well in the Sierra Nevada mountains and up towards the northern areas of the state. Many areas getting into that darker shade of blue and purple, which is 20 to 30, 30 to 40 inches of snow. And then back up on the highest of elevations, you get into that maroon color. That's 100 inches plus of snow that will be falling in those high Sierra Nevada mountains by Truckee, South Lake Tahoe, down towards Downeyville and Susanville. Then you can also see in Southern California there'll be some snow falling as well, even in the mountains outside of San Diego, according to the Anchorman, 2 to 4 inches of snow, 4 to 8 inches of snow in some of the higher peaks. And then, of course, the bottom edge or southern edge of the Sierra Nevada mountains getting snow 20 to 50 to 75 inches in those higher elevations. Tremendous snows. Colorado, not a stranger to heavy snow, and you can see the Colorado Rockies getting ample snow this year, 50 to 75 inches on average up in the highest of elevations. The Front Range, not as much, 2 to 4 inches of snow in some pockets. Not looking for a lot of snow in the Front Range this year, just outside of Colorado Springs and Denver, 2 to 4, 4 to 8 inches of snow. The highest peaks, of course, getting more snow. Back towards Grand Junction in the valley there, a trace to 2 inches of snow. Connecticut, or Connecticut, as my grandmother taught me how to say it growing up in Rhode Island, around Hartford, all the way back to New Haven, Bridgeport, Norwalk. Looks like we'll see 8 to 12 inches of snow. East of Willimantic, over by Norwich and out towards westerly Rhode Island, 12 to 16 inches of snow. Torrington getting into that 12 to 20 inch snow range, lighter back towards the northwest corner of the state. In Delaware, we're looking for snow up around the northern tip, around Wilmington, to get into that 8 to 12 inch range. That light blue from Dover to Middletown, that's we're looking to 4 to 8 inches. Milford to Dover, in between there, around 2 to 4 inches of snow. And of course, along the coastal areas, typically a lot less, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of snow there. The Peach State, Georgia. Lived there for 4 years when I worked at the Weather Channel, and electronic telecommunications, been up through these areas. The mountains of North Georgia, Dalton, Rome, Toccoa, all going to get the snow. We know that they can get over a foot of snow with the right type of storms. Right now, I'm thinking maybe on the light side. Trace to 2 inches, but wouldn't surprise me to see 4 to 8 inches in some of those mountainous areas. As I mentioned, I think a deep surge of cold air in the south, so areas like McRae, Albany, Sylvester, Tifton, all seeing snow this year. I don't think it's going to make it as far south as Valdosta, but on up towards Midgeville, Macon, and over towards Peachtree City, they'll be seeing some snow this year. A trace to 2 inches of snow. Sometimes you can get a little bit more in these areas. Iowa, in the middle of the country, beautiful state, lots of corn, they tell me. Down in the southeast corner, it looks light amounts, and then it increases as you go further north. Autumna, right around the 2 to 4, 4 to 8 inch line, and the darker shade of blue, 8 to 12 inches, down just around Des Moines, and then up around Fort Dodge, towards Mason City and Spencer. Looks like 2 to 8 inches of snow. There will be pockets of 8 to 12 inches of snow on and off in throughout Iowa. Idaho, back out in the west-northwest, you can see Idaho getting snow, heavy snows back up to the north. Elk City, Grangeville, getting up towards Kellogg, of course, up around Bonners Ferry and Sandpoint. Very heavy snows, anywhere from 16 to 30 to 40, and then in the darker shades of red and the maroon color, over 100 inches of snow in the higher elevations right around the Montana border. In southern Idaho, we will see, around Lewiston rather, we will see 4 to 8 inches of snow in some of those lower valley areas. In southern Idaho, pretty much in the Snake River Valley, lighter amounts of snow, although you will see on upwards of a foot or more around Idaho Falls. Soda Springs, Pocatello, in the mountains around that area, around 100 inches. Stanley, Yellow Pine, McCall, all getting well up over 50 to 100 inches of snow in the highest of elevations. Right around Mountain Home towards Boise, I think in those areas we'll see an area of 4 to 8 inches with a narrow band in some of the foothills, getting up to around a foot of snow for the year. Back towards the west end of the valley, we could see a couple of inches here and there. Don't be surprised to see a little bit more in some pockets if we do get a nice system to move on in with the cold air in place, but generally 2 to 4 inches of snow. Pretty good bet across the Treasure Valley this year. The Oahe Mountains hammered again, anywhere from 40 to 100 inches of snow in the southwest corner of Idaho. Garden Valley, Lowman, Idaho City, up around Smiths Ferry, all these areas getting a healthy amount of snow this year. In Illinois, we are looking at snow across much of the state. Not a whole lot, 4 to 8 inches with pockets of maybe a foot of total snow accumulation for the year. Southern areas of Illinois, not seeing a whole lot this year. Maybe up around in Vienna, 2 inches of snow. Just over by Cape Girardeau in Missouri, on up towards Albion, we could see a little bit more snow. Then northern areas around Vandalia, Effington, Charleston, there will be some more snow up through there, 4 to 8 inches of snow. Around Peoria, up around Galesburg, we'll get in that 4 to 8, maybe 8 to 12 inch amounts. From Aurora to Rockford, back over to Arlington Heights and Chicago, not seeing a whole lot, maybe 4 to 8 inches of snow this year, and we'll see a little bit more as we get back up north into Wisconsin and back over in towards Minnesota, that coming up in a little bit. Northern areas of Indiana getting a good band of snow, and you'll see anywhere from Michigan City to Hammond over to South Bend in that 8 to 12 inch range. There will be pockets of lake effect snows, 12 to 16 inches of snow, down towards Logansport, Kokomo, Marion, Anderson, and Indianapolis, all seeing 4 to 12 inches of snow in that range for this upcoming winter season. Southern Indiana will be snowy, just not as snowy as up north, as is typical. Salem, Bedford, Bloomington, all in that 4 to 8 inches of snow. Some pockets of 8 to 12 inches of snow by Columbus and Greensburg. The southwest corner, not as snowy. A trace to maybe 2 to 4 inches. And Mount Vernon, Evansville, Boonville, and Jasper in Indiana for your upcoming 2022-23 snow total forecast. In Kentucky, the Bluegrass State, Elizabethtown, Lexington, up towards Maysville, down towards Bowling Green. Typically, eastern and southeastern areas of Kentucky will see the most snow during a season. This year, I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be central and southwestern areas from Murray to Bowling Green on up towards Louisville, getting anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow total for the season. Louisiana does get snow. Typically, it's up there by Natchitoches and Shreveport, and I do think there's going to be some in southern Louisiana this year. Winsboro, Lake Providence, Tallulah, up towards Farmerville, Ruston, Winfield, and again Natchitoches, all getting some snow this year, a trace to 2 inches of snow, as I do think there'll be a big push of cold air down to the south. And with that push of cold air, it looks like around New Orleans, you'll get some snow. Just around Slidell, Mandeville, a trace to maybe 2 inches of snow falling in these areas. And notice, just south of Lake Charles, some areas in Louisiana along the coast has a chance this year to see a little bit of light snow, like New Iberia, Franklin, Morgan City. Along the immediate coast, I think around Grand Island, Homa, Galliano, and Port Sulphur, not a lot of snow falling there, maybe some flurries. Maryland, Baltimore, Easton, Chesterton, all around southeastern areas of Maryland, lighter amounts of snow, but I do think you're going to see a pretty good snow year, 2 to 4 inches or 4 to 8 inches, and as you go west and north of Baltimore and Washington, D.C., more snow, and it looks like it could be in the 16 to 20 inch range, back towards Eldersburg and Randallstown, and back up towards Jarrettsville, right around Baltimore and down towards the south and east. Yeah, you could get into 4 to 12 inches of snow. Back towards Severn, a little bit less. And around the nation's capital, looks like you could get into that 8 to 12 inch band of snow from Washington back towards Arlington, Virginia, Silver Spring, Maryland, up towards Greenbelt and Fairland. You'll be in that 12 to 16 to 20 inch range of snow, as will Laurel, get into that 12 to 20 inch snow band for this upcoming season. Massachusetts. That's not Worcester in the middle, folks. That's Worcester. And you got to say it like that, Worcester. Some of my old stomping grounds in college, back up around North Adams State College. I certainly was on up through these areas a lot. Pittsfield, Great Barrington, Greenfield, heavy snow back there in the Berkshire Mountains of Massachusetts. 20 to 30 inches of snow in some of those higher peaks out there for this winter. Southbridge, Springfield, more in the 8 to 12 to 16 inch range. Around Boston, Lynn, up towards Newburyport and Gloucester, you'll see anywhere from 4 to 8, maybe 8 to 12. A little bit more snow back towards Taunton, Brockton, Farmington, Woonsocket, Rhode Island getting into the mix. Fall River, New Bedford, Plymouth, all getting into a band of 8 to 12, 12 to 16 inches of snow, as will Worcester. And out towards the Cape, some snow, but lighter amounts there. In Maine, lots of purples, lots of reds and maroons, 100 inches plus in those high northern and northwestern Maine areas. But along the coast, you'll see some snow too. Biddeford, Maine, Portland, Brunswick, all the way up towards Rockland, anywhere from 4 to maybe 16 inches of snow. The lighter amounts right along the immediate coast. Lewiston getting into that darker shade of blue and purple, 16 to 20 inches, as will be Augusta. Here is Minnesota. Notice there are some lake-enhanced and lake-effect snows back up around Grand Marais and back towards Duluth. Those are the darker shades of maroon, 50 to 75 inches of snow. But many areas of Minnesota getting some good snow this year. Just lighter amounts like 4 to 8 inches down along the southern border. Otherwise, most areas are in that 4 to 8, 8 to 12, even as high as 20 to 30 inches of snow throughout this upcoming winter season. Let's go to Michigan, Lansing, Michigan. We got snow coming in around 12 to 16 or 16 to 20 inches of snow, big rapids as well. Up around the UP, the Upper Peninsula, around Marquette and Houghton, you can see that there will be that 50 to 75 inch range of snow there for this upcoming season. Down around Detroit, we'll get 16 to 20 inches of snow. Tremendous snowy season up around the Great Lakes this year. Mississippi seeing some snow this year as well. from Greenwood over towards Louisville, Mississippi, Macon, and down towards the south. Anywhere from a trace to 2 inches is a pretty good bet. However, there could be some pretty good bands that develop in the state in the central and northern sections. 4 to 8 inches of snow, 8 to 12 inches of snow, all possible. And with the push of cold air down to the south, Columbia, Hattiesburg, Laurel, Macomb, Mississippi, all in the running to get 2 to 4, 4 to 8 inches of snow if one of these bands set up. I've worked many a forecast where it's just a narrow band of heavy snow that comes through Mississippi, even down around the Gulfport area, like I talked about with Louisiana, Slidell, all getting snow. Montana, it looks like a great snow year for Montana, down around Cook City, Big Timber, Billings, Hardin, Colstrip, all areas here, 4 to 8, 8 to 12 inches of snow. The higher elevations, of course, getting tremendous snows, 30 to 40 to 50 inches of snow on the season. Some areas in the higher peaks back to the west will get well over 100 inches of snow, especially down around Yellowstone, West Yellowstone, back up towards Bozeman, and then out towards Dillon. You'll see lighter amounts in the lower valleys, but those high mountain peaks up around Hamilton, Missoula, Kalispell, all getting over 100 inches of snow this year. A tremendous snowy forecast for Montana. Not as much back up towards Havre, Fort Benetton, and Great Falls, but still 8 to 12 inches, 4 to 8 inches. In Missouri, it looks like not a lot of snow in southern Missouri this year. That, of course, could change, but at this point, it looks like down around Poplar Bluff, Marble Hill, the Piedmont, not a whole lot of snow. But back up towards the central and northern areas of the state, tremendous snows. Windsor, Columbia, all the way up towards Kirksville, back over to St. Joseph's and Kansas City, 4 to 8 inches of snow. Some pockets of 8 to 12 inches possible up towards Maryville, Albany, and Princeton this year in the state of Missouri. Let's go and take a look at New Jersey. A classic snow pattern in New Jersey is where out towards Toms River and Atlantic City, less snow right along the Atlantic Ocean, but back inland, they get a lot of snow. And this year I see Glassboro, Brown Mills up towards Trenton falling into that 8 to 12, 12 to 16 inch range. Bridgeton, and then down a little bit further to the southeast, 2 to 8 inches of snow in those lighter shades of blue. As we go up towards the north, tremendous amount of snow coming down around Hackettstown, Patterson. We played baseball in Patterson when I came down from New Hampshire and played with the team for a week. I think it was our spring break. Look at Newark. We're getting tremendous snow around Newark and Jersey City. 12 to 16, 16 to 20 inches of snow for the New Jersey and upper northern areas of New Jersey this year. So get those snow shovels out, get the snow blowers ready. You will see your bouts of heavy snow this year. Speaking of old stomping grounds, Raleigh. Worked there, my first TV job, 4 years in Raleigh, and experienced a lot of big snowstorms here. This is the classic snow pattern. I think this year will be another good year for snow. Asheville, Hendersonville, all the way up towards Boone, North Wilkesboro, and over towards Winston-Salem. You'll be in that 8 to 12 and getting in towards 16 to 20 inches of snow in some spots. Around Charlotte, down there 2 to 4, 4 to 8 inches of snow, and then that band kind of goes right up through Sanford. Great area for making bricks. That's right. Raleigh, Rocky Mount, Roanoke Rapids, but back towards Roxborough, Henderson, Burlington, and Greensboro, heavy amounts of snow right on the cusp of 4 to 8, 8 to 12 around the Durham area, back up into the Piedmont of North Carolina. All right, North Dakota, cold, frigid, lots of snow. Bismarck, North Dakota, getting into the 8 to 12 inch range. Some areas here will get in the darker shade of purple in the 20 to 30 inch range. Some areas of North Dakota from Rugby to Devil's Lake over to Grafton getting into the 20 to 30 inch range. Tremendous amount of snow stretching from Fargo all the way to the west. New Hampshire, home of Plymouth State University, the greatest meteorology school in the world. Biased, I went there. Plymouth, North Conway, Berlin, northern areas of New Hampshire. Tremendous snows this time of the year. You can get anywhere from 40 to 50 inches of snow in the highest peaks through there. Great skiing conditions. Back up towards Colebrook, northern areas of New Hampshire, tremendous snow. Southern areas of New Hampshire, tremendous snow around Laconia, back towards Franklin, New London, Hillsborough, Concord, Manchester, getting into lighter amounts but still 4 to 8, 8 to 12 inches of snow possible in these areas. Nashua looking pretty good. Dover getting some snow. Even the coastal areas getting 2 to 8 inches of snow. And again, these are total snow amounts for the 2022-23 season. Jumping out to the west, northern Nevada getting snow. Elko, Wells, up around Jackpot, some big snows in the higher elevations, 20 to 40 to 50 inches of snow in some areas. Lower snow amounts back towards Winnemucca, 4 to 8 inches of snow. Down towards Austin and over by Ely, you'll see some lower elevation snows, but the highest peaks, even down in central Nevada, getting tremendous amount of snow. Of course, outside of Reno, getting the tremendous snows, 100 to 150 inches of snow in some of those higher passes around Donner Pass. There will be snow in the peaks around Las Vegas too, anywhere from 2 to 8 inches. Some areas in the highest peaks outside of Las Vegas getting 30 to 40 inches of snow this year. And you can see around eastern and southeastern border areas of Nevada getting some snow. New York, northern New York getting tremendous amounts of snows from Saranac Lake to Tupper Lake over to Star Lake. And you can see tremendous snows up around Plattsburgh. Of course, the lake effect snows around Watertown, Pulaski, Oswego, and we already saw the event in Buffalo. Some areas and isolated areas could get anywhere from 50 to maybe 80 inches of snow on top of what they already have. So tremendous amount of snow there in the western part of the state. Central and southern areas, Worcester, Stamford, Hudson, around Millbrook, Kingston, Albany, all seeing anywhere from 4 to 8 inches, 8 to 12 inches of snow. Cooperstown, home of the Baseball Hall of Fame, they could get into a nice band of 12 to 16 inches of snow. By New York City, out along Long Island, you can see out towards Montauk and some of those eastern areas along the coast, 4 to 8 inches of snow, but inland areas could see some good coastal snows this year. Brentwood, Coram, anywhere from 8 to 12, 12 to 16 inches of snow, and that could be the case right around New York City too, where one or two big coastal nor'easters could form. Let's go to Ohio. Ohio seeing snow this year, up around Toledo, Sandusky, Bowling Green. You don't get a whole lot of lake effect snows there because of the angle of the wind, but you do get some good snow bands that will go all the way down towards Salina, Bellefontaine, Marysville, Columbus around the college, 4 inches, maybe higher, 8 inches of snow, pockets of 12 to 16 mixed in around Findlay. And then as you come down towards Hamilton, Hillsboro, Jackson, of course around Greenville, tremendous amounts of snow, pockets of snow coming on through. Over up around Cleveland, Lorain, Ashtabula, these areas will get some heavy snow as well, 8 to 12 inches of snow coming on down. And then back down towards Barnesville, pockets of snow. Not a whole lot, though, down by Parkersburg, Athens. You can see there's a little bit of grayness there where you'll get maybe a trace to 2 inches of snow. It all has to do where the snow bands kind of line up coming off those Great Lakes. Out in Oregon, it looks like the Blues will see some good snows, as will the Cascades outside of Portland. Some of those peaks getting into that 40 to 75 to 100 inches of snow. Bend, Oregon, anywhere from 2 to 4 inches east and northeast of Bend. Back towards the foothills to the northwest, 16 to 20 inches. Same down in the southwest corner around Medford, Oregon, over towards Lakeview, Klamath Falls, and Burns, all seeing some good snow. The northeast portion up around La Grande, Baker City, those Blues, expect some pretty good snows this year, already getting them around John Day on north. 40 to 50 inches of snow in some spots, maybe even more in some of the higher peaks up around Walla Walla to the north. Back out towards Silver Lake, Lakeview, and over by Jordan Valley, some decent snows. Again, lower valleys getting a trace to maybe 2 to 4 inches in the southeast corner of the state. Let's go to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania around Meadville, Grove City, Butler. We'll be seeing in Indiana tremendous amounts of snow coming on through. Altoona getting into some bands of some good snow. State College, Pennsylvania, the weakest school to go to if you want a meteorology degree. Emporium, I'm joking, Emporium, St. Mary's, 20 to 30 inches of snow. Marionville, 20 to 30 inches of snow. Gaelton getting into some snow. Eastern areas of the state, Williamsport, anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow, 8 to 12 inches of snow around Reading, Allentown, and East Stroudsburg, even more than that. Philadelphia getting just a little bit, 2 to 4 inches of snow. Could be some bands a little bit heavier if we get a good coastal storm going, but right now I think back towards Lancaster, York, Chambersburg, better snowfall rates there this season, 4 to 8 inches of snow there. The Ocean State, born and raised in the Ocean State, Hope Valley down by Camp Yagu. For all you Boy Scouters, Peacedale, Westerly, a pretty good snow season for Rhode Islanders. 8 to 12 inches of snow, even down around some of the coastal areas. Around Newport, beautiful area, Tiverton, pretty good bands of snow. Lighter amounts, of course, right down along the coast, where you'll get into that 4 to 8 inch range, and then darker shades of blues and purples as you go further north. Pasco, Greenville, Cranston, just outside of Johnston, you'll see anywhere from 4 to 8 to 8 to 12 inches of snow. I like a band somewhere in there. A band is going to form in southern New England for 12 to 16 inches of snow. Pawtucket getting into some pretty good snows as well. And Woonsocket back up there to the north, anywhere from 8 to 12, 12 to 16 inches of snow. And we can't forget Warwick. I played for the Warwick Townies baseball. Wonderful, Warwick, Rhode Island. Seeing some snow, 12 to 16 inches of snow. South Carolina, pretty classic snow pattern each year. This is kind of where your range snow line is, around Florence, Orangeburg. Could fluctuate a little bit to the northwest to the southeast. The heaviest snows back up towards Anderson, Greenville, Spartanburg, Union, Lawrence, Newberry, Chester, Rock Hill. All could get some heavier snows. Right now I have them in a 2 to 4 inch band, but much more snow could fall in those areas. Here is South Dakota, Sioux Falls, Brookings, Watertown as you go to the northeast corner. Inundated with snow this year, anywhere from 16 to 30 inches of snow. Pierre, Chamberlain, down towards Platte, you'll go from 12 to 16 down to 4 to 8 inches of snow in that range. North Eagle, Butte, Moonbridge, up towards Gettysburg in South Dakota, you'll get into that 20 to 30 inch range of snow. All right, Tennessee is a little tricky because Tennessee, usually the Appalachians get their snow, but this year I think there's not going to be that much snow in the Appalachian Mountains of Tennessee. Western areas of Tennessee, I think, are going to get the snow from Dover, Clarksville, down through Lexington, and then down towards Memphis. Brownsville, there'll be pockets of areas where you get a trace to 2 inches, like around Lawrenceburg, Pulaski, but I do think there's going to be a band of some 8 to 12 inch snow amounts in central and western areas of Tennessee this year, with a trace to 2 inches, maybe some pockets of 2 to 4 inches back in the mountains around Johnson City, Greenville, over by Knoxville, Harriman, up by Juanita, Jamestown, Cookville, Murfreesboro, and then you can see Nashville right around the cusp between 4 to 8 inches and 2 to 4 inches of snow. All right, Utah, seeing a real good band of heavy snow through the Wasatch Mountains. You can see the peaks there getting 50 to 75 inches of snow. Some areas will get 75 to 100 inches of snow. Green River coming in with anywhere from 4 to 8 inches of snow, and then back in around Fillmore, Delta, Milford, Enterprise, Cedar City, and St. George, lighter amounts happening here. Up around Salt Lake City, lighter amounts in the city area, but just outside, as you know, in Salt Lake, you get crushed with snow, all those great ski resorts there. Ogden, Brigham City, 40 to 50, 50 to 75, 100 plus inches of snow in many of these high peaks just outside of the Salt Lake City area. Up around Snowville, of course, they get their fair share of snow where that road gets closed. 4 to 8 inches, 8 to 12 inches, a good possibility there. Up around Vermont, tremendous snow is here too, from Randolph to Waterbury on up towards Hardwick, St. Johnsbury, Island Pond, anywhere from 40 to 100 inches of snow in the higher elevations. Great skiing conditions will be had there. Burlington coming in with a little less, around 4 to 8 inches of snow, but heavy snows down in the southern areas of the state. Killington, Stowe, Vermont, all looking great for this ski season. Woodstock coming in with some good snow. Not as much in Rutland, but still 4 to 8 inches of snow. A good swath of 4 to 8, a good swath of 12 to 30 inches of snow from many areas in southern and southeastern areas of Vermont this year. All right, we're out in Washington right now, and Spokane, back up to the northeast, looking to be getting some pretty heavy snows, anywhere from 8 to 12 inches of snow, up towards Ione, where in the outside areas you could get 50 to 75 inches of snow. Moses Lake, Royal City, Ritzville, all getting in that 4 to 8 inch range. But there will be pockets up around Coulee City. Love saying that. You'll get into the 16 to 20 inch range. There will be some pockets of some light snow, a trace to 2 inches just south of Tacoma, in and around Seattle this year. In the foothills, you'll get a little bit more, 4 to 8 inches. As you get up, of course, into the higher elevations, Packwood, all the way up there towards Darrington. Now you're going to start to see 50 to 75 and then 100 plus inches of snow up around Port Angeles and those higher peaks up there around Mount Olympia or the Olympia Peninsula. You'll see snow accumulations up around 20 to 30 in the lower elevations, 100 plus in the higher elevations. Speaking of heavy snows, how about Wisconsin? Wisconsin up in the northern sections of the state just getting hammered, anywhere from 20 to 40 inches of snow from Hayward, Winter, over towards Rhinelander, up around Goodman, and coming on down towards Green Bay, you'll see anywhere from 8 to 16 inches of snow. And then in southern areas of the state, you'll see lighter amounts of snow. 4 to 8 inches of snow, 2 to 4 inches of snow down around Waukesha, Madison, Portage, over towards Richland Center, Sparta, La Crosse, over up towards Mondovi, and then back down towards Platteville, a little bit more snow there. And then down towards Kenosha and the southern border and along the Great Lake there, you're seeing less amounts of snow. Let's take a look at Wyoming. Up around Yellowstone National Park, of course, heavy snows around Jackson, Wyoming. Some areas getting over 150 inches of snow this year. In most of Wyoming, around Casper, the peaks will see 20 to 30, 30 to 40 inches of snow. Outside of Laramie, the same story. Lower elevations getting in that 2 to 4, 4 to 6 inch snow range. How about the South? Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana we already talked about, but Dallas will see pockets of snow pretty much in these areas in the blue. You're seeing anywhere from a trace all the way up to, in the darker shades of blue, 6 inches of snow. It does look like there will be some blue northers coming out of much of Texas this year, and there will be pockets of heavy snows and snow bands, and the Gulf Coast getting snow. No joke. Down around the coastal areas in the Gulf Coast, around New Orleans, back on down towards the Brownsville, Texas area, outside of Houston and Galveston, snow will be falling at some point during this year, I think. I really believe this year there will be some deep storms carving their way down into the Gulf Coast region. Typically, these storms happen in February and in March. And you can see up around Oklahoma City some snow falling as well. Again, pockets of anywhere from 1 to 3, 3 to 4. Arkansas, nice good band of snow coming on in through southern Arkansas around Texarkana. Maybe some snow in that area as well in the 2 to 4 and maybe 4 to 6 inch range. Out in the west end of Texas, Midland and southwestern areas of Texas, there'll be snow falling in these areas as well, down around northern areas of Mexico. So they certainly do see a tremendous amount of snow in these regions at times during the year. All right, New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Roswell, Clovis, El Paso, all about the same story as you get into Texas. Although there are some pretty good mountains outside of Santa Fe, out towards Gallup, and those will see a little bit more accumulations as we go throughout the year. I think they're going to be up around closer to a foot in some areas, like that patch of yellow up around Santa Fe in New Mexico. And so here's another map, another little twist on the forecast that I put together to fly around the country to show you a little bit more of a synopsis, if you will, an overview of how much snow I think is going to fall this year. Here in the Northeast, the yellow is a foot of snow or more. Orange, 2 to 3 feet of snow, so a pretty good snowy pattern for some areas. As I mentioned, down in North Carolina, I don't think there's going to be a lot of snow in southeastern North Carolina, but this map does bring a little bit more snow than I thought. It could happen if a good coastal storm gets going for snow totals. More snow is likely up around Lake Superior and Lake Michigan. Those purple areas are over 10 feet of snow for the year. And then I do like Iowa, all the Dakotas. I do like the heavy snows in that forecast area. We already talked about Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, where I think there'll be some bands of snow developing here. But look out in the west. There is a lot of snow I think that's going to come on through. This is a La Nina year, and it is expected to go towards a neutral year. And typically when we do have that set up in the atmosphere, we get normal to above normal snowpacks in the west. So that'll help out with drought conditions. Remember, last year we wiped out the drought in the fall months before it kind of shut off, the snow shut off. You can see Idaho and Montana in a 10 to 15 foot snow range. That's pretty good stuff, folks. And then you can see there's a band of snow down even in the Snake River Valley, 1 to 2, 2 to 3 inches of snow across the region. That is the way I see things shaping up. Thanks for tuning in. Please share and subscribe. This year's 2022-23 winter weather outlook here on The Weather Show with meteorologist Vin Crosby. Thank you for watching, and let me know in your comments down below how much snow you get this season. And at the end of the year, let's see if I'm right or wrong with my forecast outlook.